Hi everyone, happy Monday. Welcome to Body Empowerment. For this episode, I want to talk about breathing. Well, there are several kinds of breathing. The most obvious is the involuntary breathing that we do, which is indicative of being alive. And another is the conscious breath. And, for those that practice yoga or sports or other kinds of physical movement activities or meditation, breathing is a crucial part of that. And even for singing and acting, knowing when to take a breath, knowing when to use the breath as your guide. And in terms of healing and recovery and overcoming pain and struggle in general, breathing is often used and promoted as a technique for calm and for overcoming challenge and obstacle, especially when sitting with difficult emotions. So over the multitudes of years that I've been recovered, and also before being recovered, just throughout my life as someone who practices yoga, as someone that practices meditation, as a singer, as an actress, as a spoken word poet, the breath has always been a huge technique in my toolbox, both professionally, personally, spiritually. But I very often resist the conscious breath in the most difficult moments. So when I'm really struggling and mentally and emotionally really, sort of destructing or self-destructing and unraveling, I tend to resist the deep conscious breath and the breath work that I've learned because some part of me that I'm still trying to totally figure out likes to self-sabotage and stay suffering. And so yesterday I was on the subway. I live in New York City, and I was having one of those really mentally self-destructive moments. And I got to this fork in the road, and either I could go one direction, which tends to be my default, which is keep self-destructing, fall down a hole till I'm at the depths of this ongoing, perpetual self-sabotaging, self-destructive, self-loathing state, or take a deep breath, and then another deep breath, and then another deep breath, and then just the pain started passing, and I started ushering myself into that moment of healing and calm. And so I thought about a few things. One is, and I wrote some of these notes down, there is an impulse in moments of harmful and self-destructive thoughts, even if we're not going to actionably act on those behaviors. So for me personally, I've been recovered for 7.5 years. I have not induced vomit as I used to when I had bulimia. I have not cut myself as I used to when I was younger. And I haven't done any of those things in over 7 years for some of those behaviors. And so even if I'm not actionably acting on the self-destructive thoughts in my head, and specifically, yesterday it was more of a self-harming thought, not like a eating disorder thought. I realized that even the thought, the thinking, the self-destruction can almost be like physically harming yourself, because I don't know about anyone out there, but I often sometimes feel physically beat up just from the sabotage I do in my head and emotionally. And so I realized, it was a radical choice to breathe instead of mentally and emotionally self-destructing. And as I said, it acted as a tremendous usher. I really like the word usher because, in a theater, an usher brings you to your seat. The breath ushers you to that space of sitting. So the breath. I'm just advocating for the breath. And there are some amazing books that talk about really powerful ways to use the breath. Caroline Roth's Women, Food, and God, especially when dealing with food and body image. She talks about actually deep breathing to the belly and allowing yourself to sit with your emotions in that way. Pema Chodron's Comfortable with Uncertainty talks about breathe in the moments of anxiety, breathing in that anxiety and feeling the connection we have to anyone in the world that has ever felt anxiety, including ourselves and our past experiences, and breathing out joy, and the most joy we can feel and think of that we have experienced, and sharing that with the world. And so for me, my default is always like, breathe in the good and breathe out the bad. And when I started practicing Pema Chodron's technique of breathing in the bad and then out the good, it's another like profound breathing tool. So breathing and just being radical enough to choose conscious breathing in the difficult moments. Admittedly, as I said, that has not always been my default, and it felt really good to make that choice yesterday. So have a wonderful week, and I'll see you on the next Body Empowerment episode.